Hi guys, Carrie here with another DIY drummer video. Today we're going to make a castanet machine. A castanet machine enables you to mount your castanets so they can be played with a hand drumming motion.
This build features an adjustable spring tension which will allow you to widen and narrow the gap between the castanets.
I got the materials for this build from my local dollar store, hardware store, and my thrift store. A pair of castanets, 2 of them, an award plaque, 9 by 7 inches, 3/4 inch furniture braces, 1.5 inch tension springs, 2.5 inch eye bolts, washers and wing nuts for those bolts, wood scraps of about 5/8 inch thick or more, sticky floor protection pads and strips, nylon cord, and some screws. Believe it or not, I got all these castanets for almost nothing over the years at various thrift stores. The toughest part about this build is winning the Bowling League award. Just kidding, I got that at the thrift store. The overall cost for this build is quite inexpensive, considering that a real model of castanet machine at the store is $70 plus tax. Here you see the corner braces I used, the tension springs, washers, the eyelet bolt with the wing nuts, and some various screws I had around the house. For tools, you're going to need a drill, a utility knife, a small saw, scissors, pencil, ruler, and a lighter to seal the ends of your strings. Let's get started. Start by removing any plaques on top of the wood base that we're going to be using. Again, if you're a woodworker and you have scraps of wood at home, you could easily cut yourself a base. I live in an apartment. This was the best solution for me, and it is very much the same as the real model. Next, I position the castanets so that they're evenly spaced on the board, and I mark the center lines down the middle vertically with the pencil and ruler. As a guide, I marked every 1/2 inch along that vertical line so that I could do a mock layout. You can see here the bracket, eyelet, spring, and other bracket in the way it'll be laid out. Next, you're going to use your saw to cut that 5/8 inch material to make the mounting block for your castanets. You need to create a shelf on the block that enables the castanet to sit flat. That means you have to cut it more in a wedge shape on the bottom. You'll see my layout here in a second shows all the measurements I used for my particular block. You may need to vary these measurements for the thickness and width of your castanets, but these are what work best for mine. Now the next thing you need to do is attach the floor pad strip with the sticky back to the block. This is where the castanet will rest on the wood. I hid some of my ugly cutting with some duct tape there. I hope to eventually cut some nice blocks when I'm near a wood shop and not cutting in my kitchen sink in my apartment. You're going to need 2 of these mounting blocks for your castanet machine. You can see the slope there from the bottom shelf where the castanet will sit flat now when it's mounted to the block. Next, you're going to mark and pre-drill the holes along the center line for the assembly. I did a mock-up on a scrap piece of wood so I could be sure of my hole distances before drilling into my finished plaque. The assembly goes mounting bracket, eye bolt, spring, and then other mounting bracket before finally putting in the mounting block. I pre-drilled the holes and mounted my 2 brackets with screws. My brackets ended up being 4¼ inches apart. This is all 4 of them mounted to the base. The next step is to fasten the mounting block to the plaque. The distance I chose was about 5/8 of an inch away from the last bracket. I drilled right through the plaque, but then pre-drilled my block and countersank the screw coming up through the bottom. Now, depending on your springs and brackets, these distances could vary, but I fastened my mounting blocks 5/8 of an inch away from the last bracket, and the brackets were about 4¼ inches apart. Now to start assembly, you're going to loop the springs on the eye bolts. You may need a screwdriver or a pair of pliers if it's tough for you. Next, we're going to attach the washers and wing nuts through the last bracket. Washer first, then the wing nut. This enables the spring to be adjusted for tension. Now your assembly should look like this. We're almost complete. I used some leftover felt pads and stuck them to the bottom of the castanet machine. This will protect any surfaces or drums that you place your castanet machine on while playing. Okay, we're almost there. Let's put this thing together. Next, I got my nylon cord and cut off a nice length there, about 1.5 feet, and sealed the ends with the lighter just to stop it from fraying. To string the castanet machine, you're going to take a pair of castanets facing each other and put the string down through both holes in the back of the castanets. Believe it or not, this is very hard to do while filming. To mount the castanets, you're going to take that loop at the bottom of the castanets and pull it around the back of your mounting block. If it was a boot, it would be around the back of the boot, you can see there. Now, laying the castanets flat on the slanted surface, I'm going to spread the 2 threads on either side of that boot and put both ends through the hole in the brace, like so. Now just make sure that those nylon cords go on either side. Beautiful. Now, much like putting on snare wires, you're going to do some adjusting here. I tensioned back my eyelet bolt so that the spring was loose enough that I could tie the string, but tight enough that when I did tie it, there was some tension on it. The idea here is to tie the castanets to the spring so that the tension can be adjusted with the wing nut on the back of the eye bolt. I just use a simple granny knot here. Here's the finished knot, the spring, and the adjustable tension there with the eye bolt. Afterwards, you'll see that I trim and melt the ends of the excess string. By loosening and tightening that tension, you adjust the gap between the 2 castanets and therefore how quick they respond. And here's our completed assembly. I'll do the same for the other side, so I have a pair going. And now you have your very own castanet machine, saving yourself about $60. I hope you enjoyed this build. This is a very, very comparable model to what you would buy online for the $70–80 range. Again, if you're a woodworker, you will be able to make your base and some better looking blocks than mine. But if you live in an apartment, don't be discouraged. You can still get it done with some few basic tools, and it does the job and sounds great. I hope you enjoyed. Please comment and like, and we'll catch you on the next video. Oh yeah, and here's what it sounds like.